Hey everyone, it's your boy, Cthulhu, and I just got done playing the 2XKO Alpha, and I gotta say, Riot absolutely cooked. Yeah, that's right. I bet you didn't know I played fighting games. Well, I've got a broken chair arm from biking counter reversals and 3 dents in my head from headbutting my controller in UMVC3. More important than traumatic brain damage, I had a chance to throw down in Riot Games' newest venture, 2XKO. This isn't some Fisher-Price baby's first fighting game. This is an absolute degenerate roll around in the mud like piggy, honest to whatever deity you pray to fighting game. Now, what do I mean by dirty? Well, imagine you're out getting dinner. Street Fighter 6 is a nice clean restaurant, classy, conventional, you know what you're going in for, and it's typically straightforward. You know, order a burger, get a steak. 2XKO is like that hole-in-the-wall food truck in the middle of a dark alleyway that serves you greasy slop covered in cheese sauce with a fistful of napkins and a 64-ounce Coke to wash it down. Sure, it's bad for you, but god damn is it so good. But is that necessarily a good thing? No. Am I trying to IV hook it up to my arm? Yes. Playing the game further and watching players way better than me get their G Fuel stained fingers on the game really just cements that this is going to be a banger. But I have my worries, and I wanted to ramble off some of my thoughts in the meantime, and kind of in a more informal way. Just some gameplay of me just fucking around and doing some things and, you know, playing some games. Now, playing 2XKO and watching high-level play is really good. I think I had a hard time kind of grasping it until I started playing a lot and kind of ingraining myself. I don't know how that's going to do for like viewer retention, but it's such a chaotic game that it's really hard to kind of keep track of everything. But once you get a grasp on it, you play a lot of it, you get really ingrained in it, you start to understand it a little bit more. I don't know if that will ever translate to a problem in the future, but it's a fun game. It's really fun. And I'll try to explain this as best as I can, that I would argue when you play fighting games that there's a spectrum. You have various levels of honesty, whether it's in the characters or the overall game mechanics. There are, however, no truly honest fighting games. It wouldn't be fun, and a lot of characters just wouldn't exist. It's why those old flintlock pistol battles in Europe fell out of the meta in America. Why can't I just run up and command grab you and okie you in the corner? I can't fucking stance swap a Derringer. Anyway, you have games like Street Fighter 6 or Towing the Line with Strive into the absolute degenerate gremlin energy of UMVC3, Skullgirls, BB Tag, where all the moves are basically Dale Gribble pocket sand. Both have a place, and 2XKO lands pretty comfortably on the gremlin side of the fighting game spectrum. The game is fast-paced, frenetic tag fighter that puts you in the shoes of one of 2 of 6 of the over 150 plus champions in League of Legends. So they have a pretty big pool for champ selection in like the near, like probably the far future. They pretty much will never run out. Visually, the game is incredible. Most combos feel great in execution, and I feel like we've barely scratched the surface on what's possible with how many crazy things I've seen people can do. Braum feels a little slow and could use a tiny bit of TLC, like tuning up. His mediums feel really bad when you kind of like whiff them, or even like some of his stuff, you gotta like really kind of like 5-head hard read a lot of characters. I don't know if that's like the intent. If that is the intent, you know, throw it away. But, you know, I feel like he could use a little bit more of an oomph. His shield, though, sucks. I hate his shield. I hate it. Also, I feel like the defense mechanics in the game should be bigger. Like the parry should be more impactful or something, because I feel like the defense mechanics were very underwhelming. I didn't see too many pro players use it or too many like big players use it. I tried using it near the end, but I just felt like how esoteric they felt. I think one of the problems and one of the big pluses about the game was how deep the mechanic system goes. You have simplified inputs instead of quarter circle backs and DP inputs, but the level of options that you have in execution almost feel bottomless. But I would say the defense mechanics a lot of the times felt varied. There were a lot of tools that you had at your disposal. They just felt kind of underwhelming. Now, chip damage, I'm on the fence about chip damage. I like the chip damage, and I get why it's in the game, especially with the timer, and it kind of keeps games from getting stale and people having to camp and stuff like that. I just don't know how you would ever solve the solution of having one character left with full meter on the opponent's side, where they kind of just cheaply meter dump you and it ends in like a shake my hand moment. I don't know necessarily how to deal with that. I don't know if you can deal with that at all, especially when you have like time limits like that, but it definitely doesn't feel the greatest. I had an idea that maybe you could like add like a faultless defense in exchange for like the push block, but I don't know. That's like a tough one. That's like a difficult question that like I'm curious how the team wants to tackle that, or if they want to tackle that at all. If they're just pleased with like how like the current speed of the game is going right now, it's too early to tell. I'll throw my hat in there though. I do want like a faultless defense would be really cool. I also think the parry should be like a little bit more impactful in game. Yeah, the parry, I know if I just repeated myself, but yeah, the parry just feels like when I was doing the parry, there was just so much of a tiny window at times that I don't know, like it just feels like whenever you're trying to flip something around on someone, I feel like it should feel like a crazy little hype moment, but I don't know, like offense feels super good. It's just defense is definitely like I'm on the fence about. I don't know. I know that tag fighters are aggressive. They're super aggressive. We'll definitely have to see like how that shapes up. Also, I could be wrong, but adding like a parry, like maybe like Smash Ultimate, whenever you do the parry, it kind of like pauses time for like a second, so it allows you to like get in there. I'm not sure. Also, like some of the knockback on some of it, I feel like if you're like closer, I can hit you a little bit better, but I could be wrong. These are like kind of pie in the sky ideas. Now, let's get into the pulse fuse. I think that was one of the most five-head things that I've seen out of 2X KO. More than just, I would say even more than just like the whole game as a whole. It's such a good idea to onboard your friends. It's such a cool idea. Like all your friends who've never played like a fighting game before, you just play duos and you put the pulse fuse on, and it doesn't really affect your combos or any of your execution. It's really smart. I liked it, and I think that there's a multitude of ways that fighting games have tried to handle that initial onboarding experience, or try to make the learning the game's mechanics and getting into the game as easy as possible. I mean, DNF Duel, you had simple inputs with the option to do the more difficult inputs to make combos easier. You had Blaze Blue that had the simplified inputs. You have a wealth of different ways that people have tried to like tackle it without really breaking the balance of the game. Simplified inputs, or the pulse system, is probably like one of the more efficient ways or more elegant ways that I've seen it handled, especially because like I was playing against my friends. It was just me versus like them, and they were a duo, and they did the pulls, and it was like their first or second game, and I've been playing for like a few days or up to like half a week, and it was just so much fun just getting them into it, and then having them tag, communicate. And then even when I played the duo and I had someone who was inexperienced and they had a pulse fuse, I was just like doing my combos as regular, and they weren't totally locked out of the game. They could just play. I feel like there should be like a little bit more fine tuning on it though, because as much as I say it doesn't like necessarily affect all of my combos, it definitely got in the way of a couple. It just, I feel like that's like just more like a fine tuning thing, or if it's just like it's just me and I just kind of like have to deal with it. I'm not sure on that one. Now, we got a chance to play the alpha, and they warned us that this game was going to be janky, and there's a couple things missing, namely a tutorial, and that's kind of what I primarily wanted to see. And you know, obviously a lot of assets and elements in the games were kind of just slapped on and sent out, and so I definitely want to see how the UI shapes up. I feel like the current layout definitely felt like a little mishmash and confusing. Training mode definitely felt like a nightmare to navigate with so many options and buttons. I also feel like, I don't know why it's the graphic designer in me, but I feel like symbols or icons right by the names on, like in terms of like the menus, would probably help me navigate more, or having pages that you could navigate, like for like pages just for like all the options, training options and stuff like that. I feel like fighting game UIs have a lot of clutter. I've always had a lot of clutter in games, mainly just because there's so much just broad information that you're getting attacked with. But I feel like it could be like a little bit more like efficiently laid out. You know, obviously these are just placeholders, but I feel like I hope they add like pages or tabs and like really like consolidate like their options. I think that'd be kind of cool. The tutorial mode, I definitely want to see how that's going to work out. It's a pretty complex game, but I think the baseline level of entry is pretty low. especially with like the simple inputs and stuff like that. It's just like I think tag systems have always had like a really difficult time. It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time at first, but once you get it, they become like actual like combo pieces. So it's just like kind of like getting over that kind of hump, especially in tag games. Yeah, the tutorial mode I definitely wanted to see, because it was just like, it was definitely like overwhelming at first, that if I didn't have like the YouTube or just like the community, it'd be a very tough game to kind of like get into or kind of like do that. And especially without the pulse views. And even if you had the pulse views where you can kind of see what's going on or what you're doing with that. Also, I definitely had experience with like other fighting games, but it's just this one, I feel like for like a new player, it would definitely be like difficult to get into. Also, I think like the defense mechanics, I feel like should be the first thing that you teach, because it's a suffocating game, especially when you get like absolutely just like ass blasted on like touch of deaths and stuff like that. So, and one of the things that I feel that Riot has done an incredible job whenever they dip their toes in any genre, they just make a game that's just tailor-made for fans in that area. TFT is an auto battler that has really shaken up and innovated the genre, and Valorant is there too. And Legends of Runeterra is my favorite digital card game of all time, which after some bumps in the road seem to be getting on their feet again, with tournaments potentially coming back. I actually can't wait to kind of boot up that game. I've been trying to. Path of Champions has felt kind of definitely weird, a little grindy. I kind of want to see it dive back into that game, but I played that game religiously back a while ago. It's not big of an achievement, but I did get to Diamond. My point is, Riot has a great track record of getting together a crack team and tailor-making games for their respective communities. There's so much love and care put into every game, and I'm not worried about 2xKO as a game. It's amazing, and they're absolutely cooking. I definitely am worried about 2xKO's onboarding process and their player retention. They're treading in new territories, I would argue, truly free-to-play fighting game. You have games like Grand Blue Fantasy Rising Versus. There we go. We got it. That was like my 10th time doing that. I think after Legends of Runeterra's near-death experience has me a bit worried. The game, I would argue, was probably one of the most generous free-to-play games of the genre, with a huge focus on competitive play. But skins and boards weren't enough to financially stabilize the game, and all in all, I have no concern about 2xKO's gameplay, and I'm very curious about how they want to tackle the financial side and how they want to monetize the game and keep players playing. But all in all, I have no concerns about 2xKO's gameplay, as this was a game that was tailor-made for fighting game players by fighting game players. But I am a tad worried about its potential future, and I hope they have some tricks up their sleeves to become a mainstay and set a standard for free-to-play fighting games. But that does it for this ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry the video came out a little bit late, but I hope you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Comment down below if you've played the 2xKO alpha, and let me know what your favorite character was and what your favorite part about the alpha was. Sorry things come out so short, I swear. I'm working on things. I'm just a slow little boy when it comes to making videos. Anyways, take care everybody. Hope you all are well. I love you all. Bye-bye.